The company that you've created, Canary Speech, is it a one product? You mentioned several patents. So what is the flagship, I guess? And
Sure.
what are the other patents that you can talk about, you cannot talk about?
I can talk about anything almost. They're applied for or they're issued. Um, we took a different approach than all the other companies did. Most of the other companies chose a disease and tried to build a correlation with language to that disease. We said the industry, clinical industry, needs a set of tools and a platform on which they could do this. And that platform should run the whole gamut. It should have the data security, data integrity. It should have the tools, what are called APIs and interfaces. It should do it in a practical way, whatever practical became, you know. And I can tell you what practical is today because we've commercialized it with many institutions. But we didn't focus on a disease, but rather on the tools that could analyze for a disease. And we made the determination, even in the bagel shop that day, that we would be a clinical product. So that meant all the requirements and responsibilities that go with that. And there's a whole range of them. But we weren't your young chickens anymore, so we knew some of the responsibilities, you know. And so today we offer analysis for approximately a dozen different diseases. We're building 12 more that will launch this year. But things like progressive neurological diseases, things like Huntington's, Parkinson's, and MS. In that same vein, but what we call cognitive illnesses, things mild cognitive impairment, often called MCI, Alzheimer's disease. We also have commercialized that. And then in behavioral health, we have anxiety, depression, a behavioral health model that does a general assessment. And then we're adding PTSD and postpartum depression to that model. And then there is a range of models that will be out this year for ADHD and autism, as well as behavioral health for children. And then there's a series of models that are practical and provide information during the clinical assessment, things like an assessment for pain. Normally we say, tell me what your pain level is, 1 to 10. We actually assess that in an objective way. And then an aggression model, which provides an awareness of dangerous situations for nurses, you know. And then along the way, there's specific diseases that we're addressing, and there are insurance in the US, insurance CPT codes that reimburse for that as a clinical decision support tool. We also had to make it practical. How can you put it into the hand of a clinical team member in a practical way that doesn't disturb the relationship, but is non-intrusive in it? And so we developed what we call ambient listening. We call it Canary Ambient. We do real-time streaming in a multi-mode analysis. And we could process, of the diseases that I mentioned, we could process any of them on 40 seconds, or we can process all of them on 40 seconds. So we give back information while the doctor and patient are still talking. We give back information on any of those diseases. What is the behavioral health? What is the cognitive health? While they're still talking to each other. And that information is clinical decision support. So it's part of the array of information a doctor has, their experience, the other tests they're doing, their conversation, their questions, how they're answering them, their observations, just like we do with our children. But now they also have an objective measurement based on vocal biomarkers. And they look at that, and that may steer the next question, or it may help them formulate what they decide that the diagnosis is. So that's how Canary Speech pursued it.